What's up? It's football time. Guys, I'm finally back. It's AG Sports. Took some time off. I'd given you guys everything I could up until we got into week one. It's finally week one. I'm here. We're going to go over a couple things today. If you want the picks, just look at the screen. I'm super hyped. I'm excited. I'm ready to go. Ready to win some money. So don't let me get in the way, guys. If I'm talking too much or whatever, just write down the picks and be done. But I will tell you, one of the things we're going to go over today is closing line value and expected value. So the picks for week one have been placed. They've been placed for some time now. Games like the Seahawks, I got that line in July, like the beginning of July. Same thing with a couple of these picks. There have been some that are more recent, like the Broncos and the Ravens. Those were probably the last, let's say, 2 weeks or so. But the point of what I'm trying to say here is that in the NFL, you want to be ahead of the game. You cannot wait until the day of or even the day before. If you didn't already know this, 90% of the action for casinos on the NFL comes in the weekend of the games. So Tuesday or Monday through Friday, there's only 10% of the action as far as the number of tickets, which means that it's only sharps and guys who are very interested in gambling, basically. It's not until Friday night, and more specifically Saturday morning, people have partied, they drank, they're watching college football, they're talking about NFL games coming up, or they're thinking about the NFL game coming up, and they finally decide, you know what, let me go ahead and let me make a pick. Let me put down $5 on whatever. That's fine. But it's really hard to make money that way. The NFL is a very efficient market, and by all accounts, and this isn't just me, this is several books and bookies that I've had the pleasure of speaking with, all say by the time it comes to kickoff, the line is so efficient, it is truly a coin toss. It is a 50-50 pick at that point, regardless of which side you're on, because the lines are just that damn good. So the play is to get ahead of that. You want to be betting Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday as the line is first put up and take advantages of maybe any discrepancies that you see, but more importantly, some value that you see. Now, as the lines start moving, you can also middle if that's your game, or if you don't want to do that, you're not somebody who likes to hedge, then obviously you don't have to do that. But I'm going to go over these picks. I'm going to give you the closing line value, and I'm going to explain what that is, and then I'll go over the expected line value, and then I'll explain what that is, and show you how much we should be winning, or what percentage of these games we are expecting to win. And then from there, we'll go into week two. I'm going to give you my picks for week two, but more importantly, I'm going to give you what to look for, what lines to look for in pick two, and maybe where they're at right now. Even if you can't bet on them, some books at least have like a preemptive line so that you can get an idea of where it should come out come Monday morning or Sunday night, depending on your book. So the picks that I have, first we have Jags at Texans under 45.5. This one and the Seahawks were both put in early July. So Jags at Texans under 45.5. That has moved a full point. It is down to 44.5 is the total right now. Now, a couple things about that. Number one, 44 is a key number. So it may sit at 44.5 for a little bit, unless you see some drastic money coming in on the under, and then it pushes it down to 44. But I will say, if it ever touches 44, I expect it to almost immediately get popped back up to 44.5, because somebody there is waiting to middle that number. If they got this at 46 or even at 47, or maybe they teased it earlier in the summer, and then so they have like an under, let's say 53 or 52 or whatever that is, and now they can get the over 44. Play in the middle is a really good option in that, because they're encompassing both of the key numbers there, or two of the three key numbers. So that's where we're at with that first game. But what does that mean? What does it mean that there's a point of closing line value? So closing line value, first of all, is the amount of points that have gone in your direction since you placed the bet. So I placed it at under 45.5. It has gone down, so the market was in conjunction with my thinking. It has gone down 1 point. So I have 1 point of closing line value. In closing line value and expected value, every half a point of a move is 1.5% either in or against your favor. So in this case, when it is moving with us, it is 1.5% more likely that I will win that bet. Meaning that if it is truly, let's say that the line stays where it's at, and it's at 44.5 at kickoff. If that is truly a 50-50 proposition, the fact that I have one extra point in my favor means that I should win 51.5% of the time, and the book should lose 48.5% of the time. So it might not seem like a huge deal, but again, remember, 52% is break even. So if you are at least breaking even, you're going to keep your bankroll going. But if you are consistently getting the bad line, or you're not breaking even, that doesn't bode well for you. You will lose money, you will run out of bankroll, and it's not fun. And even if you're doing this just recreationally, you're doing this just for fun, just, hey, I just like the Broncos or whatever, and I want to put some money on them. It's fun until you're losing. When you are consistently losing, betting's not fun anymore. It's not fun. It's a grind, and it's like, man, I don't even want to open this account. I know I'm down to like $2 or whatever. So keep that in mind. Try to be a winning bettor, obviously. Next, though, is Seahawks +3 at the Colts. So this is something I've been harping on. I have been jumping on this line since it first came out. And now that we're getting close to week 1, I'm finally hearing other people talk about it. And surprise, surprise, a lot of the sharps were on my side. Guys like Warren Sharp, guys like betting syndicates, and people that work with Warren Sharp, they were all on the Seahawks at +3. Now, I can't tell you why the books made that line. The line made no sense to me. When I first started looking at lines, when they first came out in the summer, I had no idea why it got placed there. I never thought the Seahawks should be underdogs, regardless of whether Wentz was there or not. I don't think Seahawks should have ever been the underdog there. But hey, I grabbed it. So that is my biggest bet for this week 1. I actually put like 5 units on that, and it's very rare for me. I usually try to stick to 1, and if it's something that I really feel strongly with, I'll maybe go to 1.5. So 5 was really a breaking character for me, but it is my strongest play. And of course, what happened? Well, the injuries and things did take a toll, but the fact that all the sharps came in, money kept rolling in on the Seahawks, and the injuries, and now just consistent injuries all the way up through the preseason up until week 1 have moved this line. So it went from Seahawks +3 to Seahawks -2.5. So the Seahawks went from 3-point underdogs or field goal underdogs to 2.5-point favorites, and I actually expect them to get to be a 3-point favorite by the time kickoff comes around. Again, keeping in mind that 3 is a key number. So that all being said, that's not a line you can get anymore, but just for the purposes of closing line value, as of right now, we're at 5.5 points of closing line value. And again, I actually expect that to get to 6 points. But at 5.5 points of closing line value, that is a 16.5% expected value in my favor, meaning that I should win 66.5% of the time on that play, and the books should lose 34.5% of the time. So again, my favorite play in the offseason is really worked out so far. All the lines are there. But one thing that is very important is I'm going to give you these win percentages and expected values and all this other kind of crap from math classes that I'm sure you haven't even thought about in forever. But what's really important is it's all probability. I can tell you something is, like I said with the Seahawks, it's a 64.5% chance that I'm going to win this. That's not 100%. These are not locks. They're not give-me's. Anything can happen. It's football. It's chaos. Somebody can get hurt, fumbles, turnovers, whatever. Football. I'm not at all guaranteeing that these are things that are going to win. So don't run out there and try to tease it or whatever and place, whatever you can afford to lose on these games, because it is still a bet. It's not a sure thing. But that being said, let's move on to the next one. It's 49ers -7 at Lions. That's actually still at the same exact line. Panthers -4.5 versus the Jets. So that has actually got bumped up, and I actually lost out on this one by 0.5 point. So at one point it was at Panthers -4. And I really, really considered jumping on it. I didn't. I waited too long. I got it at -4.5. My rationale with that was that at 4, there really wasn't a key number in sight. 3 was there, but I didn't think it was going to get down to 3. So the 4 to 4.5 is not a huge deal. It's not a deal breaker for me, and it's not a key number, so not a big thing. But it has continued moving, I should say. So it's now at -5.5. So again, 1 point in value, which is 3 points in expected value, so I should win 53% of the time, above that 52% mark. And again, at least break even with these as far as wins are concerned and bankroll management. Next is Broncos at the Giants, under 42.5. That's actually moved down half a point, so it's under 42 at this point. And so it is 1.5% of expected value in my favor, but I will say that that's not a key number. I was really hoping that this line would actually get bumped up, because usually if you are betting ahead of time, lines will move up. So just I guess a rule of thumb, if you want to take the under, typically you want to wait until like kickoff. That's the one time that you do want to bet as late as you can, and that's mainly because the public loves betting overs. So let's say you're at like 43.5 on a Tuesday night. By the time we get to Saturday, Sunday, usually that money will bump the line up and it'll get to 44.5 or even higher, and then you can take the under and grab that key number. Didn't happen for me, but I am glad that I grabbed the 42.5 when I did, because it gave me that extra half point. Not really anything here other than, again, 51.5% of the time. Next is a teaser, and these are a little bit harder because it's not a straightforward like one for one kind of thing with expected value, but all of the lines that I got have either stayed the same or moved in my favor. So the Rams, they went from -7 to being -7.5. The Buccaneers went from being -7 to -8, I believe, last I saw. So they've both moved half a point at 1 point respectively. The Chargers and the Washington football team actually stayed the same, so nothing there. So that together is about 1.5% of closing line value. 1.5 points of closing line value, which roughly would equate to about 4.5% expected value. But since it's a teaser, it works a little bit different. I'm not going to get into all the math of it right now, but basically what it breaks down to is it's going to put me at about a 53% win percentage. Obviously, that's a little bit better than breaking even, but again, not. Obviously, if we can get more, we'd love it. Lastly is Ravens -4.5 at the Raiders, and I'm going to tell you right now, this is the game I'm concerned with. So I made this play, same thing, a few weeks ago, and the benefit to that obviously is if lines can move, and if everybody kind of jumps on your boat after you've already started the boat, you're there to take advantage of that, and you get the better line. The downside is obviously injuries. So with preseason, obviously injuries happen. J.K. Dobbins got hurt, if you hadn't already heard that, which I'm sure you had. And Gus Edwards steps up. He's not a huge decrease as far as talent is concerned. And I did run this game through the Madden algorithm and the rankings, and I'll get into that here as well in a second with week 2. And it really didn't change anything because Gus Edwards is like 2 points lower than J.K. Dobbins. So it didn't really change a whole lot there. But the Ravens do have some other injuries or sicknesses on the rest of their team. So they're actually missing a safety. I believe he got tested for COVID, and he's either positive or he's close contact or something like that. But either way, he's most likely going to miss the game. And they have a few other defensive players that are kind of in and out. And it's either minor injuries or close contacts with COVID. And so that could really put a hamper on this. And for those reasons, I wouldn't really jump back on this line right now if you haven't already got it. But the line also hasn't moved any, so maybe that is the reason why. So it's possible that the Ravens were going to tick up to maybe like -5 or -6 or whatever, maybe -5.5, because the Ravens have the great track record coming into week 1 and better coach and better players and all that kind of stuff. But because of all these like injuries and COVID fears, they've just kind of stayed where it's at. And so that's my assumption right now. So no change there, whether it's closing line value or expected value, but that's where it's at. It's up to you if you want to get involved in that game or not, obviously, but I would probably refrain if I could at this point. But let's go ahead and get into week 2 and take a look at what we have coming up and what we want to see. So the ones that are here in orange are the ones that I am actually really curious in. The ones that are in blue are teams that have a trend either for or against a certain team. So Patriots -3 at the Jets. The Madden algorithm and then my own coaching algorithm actually has the Patriots, or says that they should only be 1 point favorites. I just totally don't agree with that. I think a lot of that is based off of just obviously raw data, which is what algorithms go off of. But there's not really a way to quantify Mac Jones or Bill Belichick and things like that. I mean, I can to an extent as far as coaching is concerned, and kind of like what past experiences have shown us with Bill Belichick. But with Mac Jones, it's really hard because we don't have any NFL info to go off of for him other than preseason, which again, even that is kind of taken with a grain of salt. But just from looking at the tape, evaluating the players, and really more of like an introspective look, meaning what I know, what I'm seeing with my eyeballs, I think the Patriots should be a bigger favorite than this, and they probably will be. And I think what's going to happen is when the general public sees them as only 3-point favorites versus the Jets, you're going to have people jump on that boat. And it's going to, depending on how the Jets do week one, especially if they get smashed by the Panthers week one, the Patriots could end up going off at like -5 by the time we actually kick off there. Raiders and the Steelers. So there is a trend here. So the Monday night team. So the Raiders actually play Monday night against the Ravens. They're going to turn around and play at Pittsburgh at noon. So the Raiders are at home Monday night, so that's not a huge deal, but they are missing a day of rest, and then the NFL is still off on Tuesdays, so they're going to have minimal time to get ready to go play. And then even when they get to Pittsburgh, let's say that they get there Saturday night, they don't get to kind of like rest and recoup and recover that day. They got to go out and play first thing in the morning. So that's going to be different. The Steelers should be favored in that game. I don't know if I'm necessarily going to touch it, but the trends do say the Steelers should be your pick there. Giants at Washington -3. Have not come out with the decision on that one just yet. If it was for me, just off of what I know of the teams, I'm taking Washington. But it is a game I'm still researching. Texans at the Browns -7.5. Now this is one of the lines that we are looking for. So the Browns, last that I had checked, the Browns are actually like -13. And that was back in the summer. So that was back when you could see lines for like every week in the season. If you're not familiar with doing that, usually around like July or so, beginning of July, books will put out every single line for every single week, and they'll try and take some action. And they do that for a few reasons, but for us, what's important is that that's our time to kind of jump ahead of this and see some of those lines, get an idea of what we're going to be looking at, and more importantly, take advantage of the lines that we think are very off. So it's hard to do that, especially because of injuries and things like that. You don't want to put too much money up front like that. But Texans at the Browns, they had them at -13.5. I think that is going to change. And one of the reasons I think that is that the Chiefs, while I do think the Browns are going to keep it close, so they should try to, at least, obviously, I think the Chiefs are going to just come out and prove a point over the Browns week one, and it could get ugly. I know a lot of people are very high on the Browns, myself included. I really love the team, the coach, the running back, everything. I love the Browns, but the Chiefs with a purpose is a very scary proposition. They're going to come out, they're going to throw the ball. Last time they played in the playoffs, you got to remember Patrick Mahomes did not play half of that game, and even the rest of the team that was playing was injured. Their offensive line was all jacked up. Those things have all been corrected. The Chiefs have looked very, very sharp in preseason. I have total confidence that they're going to come out week one and just say, you know what, this is what we are. Don't forget us. Next time you you let our name come out of your mouth, we're gonna let you know. So, man, I don't know if the Browns really get demolished like that week one, they are not going to be 13-point favorites week two, especially with the Texans, because they're kind of in the opposite situation where they're playing the Jaguars, and the Texans are 3-point dogs at home week one against a rookie quarterback and a rookie coach. So I have the under in that game. I was not touching this side. And I have heard some people say Trevor Lawrence is going to come out. He's going to beat the Texans week one. And he's going to kind of break the trend because a top 10 quarterback pick has only won the first game of the season in recent memory at least twice. And that's it. And that was Mark Sanchez with the Jets and then Robert Griffin with Washington. And maybe he'll change that, perspective or that trend, but I won't believe it until I see it. I think a lot of people forget how good the Texans defense is, and everybody's talking about how terrible the team is and how terrible the Texans are and how terrible everything's run, and that's true. But if that defense can show up just a little bit against a rookie, that game could be very close and Texans could surprise some people. And those two things kind of working together could give us a Browns shorter line. And so I'm looking for 7.5. I very highly doubt that it gets there. But if we can get Browns like -10, I'm all on it. So that's one that I'm looking at. I'm going to skip through the white ones here just because the stuff we're still researching. But Rams -4 at the Colts. So this is another one. And I'm going to show you the Madden algorithm for this one. So this is what I have on the Rams as of right now with the injuries that the Colts have suffered. And just kind of looking forward here to week 2, assuming no other injuries, the spread is, or should be, about 4 points, meaning that the Rams should be 4-point favorites. The line back in July, when we were looking at all these future lines, had the Rams as 1.5-point favorites. So that was a pretty big value, almost 3 points of value in our favor from what the algorithm says. I was expecting that with the injuries and just kind of what the Colts have gone through, what they've been having to deal with, that we were going to get something more similar to like a 3.5-point or maybe even a 4-point line, at which point the value is there, but it's not as great as I would like it to be. However, according to bookies.com, the current line is 3. At 3, I love it. You're still getting that key number. I have it as 4 to 4.5-point favorites is what the Rams should be, and you're getting the 3. So that's a game that I really, really like for week 2. I'm going to be looking for it. I'm going to be waiting for that line to come out. I'm hoping that it stays at 3. So if I can get Rams -3, that's going to be awesome. Obviously, these things are all dependent on how week 1 goes and injuries and things like that. But again, like I said, I really just want to put this out there for you so you know what to look for. So if you see Rams -3, either late Sunday night or actually in their case, because the Rams play Sunday night, it would be Monday morning, jump on that line. Don't hesitate. Get it while it's still at 3 because it will move. But on to the rest of this year. So the Chiefs at the Ravens. The Monday night team is the Ravens. They're playing Sunday at noon. So they'll be at home, but they're going to be playing the Chiefs Sunday after a Monday night game. So they're going to travel from Las Vegas back to Baltimore Monday night, be off Tuesday, and then try to be ready for the Chiefs come Sunday. I don't really like the spot for the Ravens, especially with all the injuries they have, especially if their secondary still isn't at 100%. So in this game, you really want to be looking at like Ravens.com almost, or Ravens blogs, because there's a lot of stuff going on with the Ravens that is not getting talked about. It's not getting a lot of media attention. So stuff like safeties or backup linemen being kind of in and out is going to greatly affect this game, but it's not going to make the news on like ESPN, and it's not going to, pop up on like your sleeper app or anything. So you're going to need to go out and look for that info. Then also, right after the game is over Monday night with the Ravens, just take a look at it. Who got hurt? Was there anybody that missed the game? Anybody that's going to be maybe missing the following week? Same thing with the Chiefs. But assuming that there is no injuries, or that there's very little that changes, or that the Ravens don't get everybody back, I really like the Chiefs. And the Chiefs are probably, as of right now, it's a pick 'em. But I could totally see the Chiefs being like a 1-point favorite or a 1-point dog come week 2 and when the lines open up. And if that's the case, there's a few different ways you can go with that. You can take the Chiefs money line, which is great, and I fully expect that that's going to be that's going to be a value play. If they are at 1, though, you can look to tease that. That way you get the Chiefs plus the touchdown. I don't think the Chiefs are going to, I don't want to say that they're not going to lose that game, because again, anything can happen, but I think that they're going to kind of come in with the same perspective they have on the Browns, on like, look, we're going to prove a point here. And keep in mind that the Ravens have a very similar play style to the Browns. They both like to run the ball. They both have good offensive lines. They both have limited receiving threats, and the Ravens even less so than the Browns. And they both have good defenses. So the Chiefs are going to basically be playing, two very similar teams back to back. So they don't have to really put in a new game plan. They don't have to change up too much as their approach is concerned. And so all of that works together in favor of the Chiefs. So if I can get the Chiefs plus a point, that's great. If I get them as a pick 'em, that's great. If they get the 1 point and then you decide to tease it, that's fine as well. But I really like the Chiefs in that spot, and I think that's something we should all be looking for. If it does go the other way, even if there are some injuries concerned, as long as it's not like Mahomes, obviously, I like the Chiefs up to -2.5, and so I think that's going to be again another big value play. The only thing that does concern me is Tyrann Mathieu is out. He's going to miss his first week, and I believe his is a COVID injury as well, or COVID issue as well. And so he's going to be out, and he's really one of their best secondary members, if not the best one. Also, they're missing their right linebacker. It's just Willie Gay, I think is his name. He's out for the year. He's on IR, and that has not been talked about a lot, but I could see that really coming back to kind of bite them in the butt, especially against running teams. You need those linebackers to come in and kind of stop that run. One thing I didn't talk about with the Colts, but it's going to come up here, and I just passed it with the Rams. I forgot to mention that Eric Fisher is out, and Sam Tevi is also out. Both those guys are their left tackles. So both left tackles are out. They're going to be playing their third left tackle, which they actually don't have on the depth chart. So meaning that they're going to have to take another lineman from somewhere else in the line, or a backup lineman, and put him into left tackle. So it won't just be a backup lineman. It'll be a backup lineman playing a position he's not familiar with. So keep that in mind on the Colts. Sorry, I forgot about that one. Next we have Lions at the Packers. I'm looking for Packers -7. Just keep it simple. If the Lions get just trounced on by the 49ers like we're all thinking they will, and the Packers can just beat the Saints, get out of the Jacksonville with a win, I really like to look at that line. All right, sorry guys, I apologize. I know this is probably kind of abrupt in the middle of the video here. I had to step away for a sec, grab something to drink. I don't know, I guess I was losing my voice. Been screaming at these like hypothetical football games that haven't happened yet too much. So anyways, I think I left off on the Lions and the Packers. Let's move on. Nothing to really talk about there. The Lions still have people that should be playing like junior college ball. Packers -7. Just look out for that line. It's probably going to be higher than that, honestly, especially if the Packers put a big trouncing on the Saints. But I'm looking for a 7. I don't really want to go too much higher than that, just because the Lions could backdoor. The Packers might not, they might try to take out some players and just kind of keep everybody healthy, especially with the extended season. I think that's a big threat all over the place, not just the Packers. So just keep that in mind. I wouldn't really go too much higher than 7. And just fading the Lions is going to be profitable until it's not, because those lines will get inflated and adjusted as we keep going through the season. Next, is the Falcons at the Bucks. So I'm looking for Bucks -9.5. I believe that's actually what it's at right now, as far as expected lines that are going to come out Monday or Sunday night. They don't have that number in particular or that game, I should say, in particular on bookies.com just yet, but I do think that's what it's going to be at. That's what it was prior to the season starting, and it really hasn't been a lot of moves for either of these teams as far as like starters are concerned or coaching or anything like that. No major injuries to speak of yet. So Bucks -9.5. The trend going in this one, so the Thursday night team is playing on Sunday, so they get the extra rest advantage. The Thursday night team, of course, being the Buccaneers, having the extra rest advantage, having a few extra days to prep, and really, come Sunday, they'll get to sit back, watch all the teams. But if I'm the coach, if I'm Arians, I'm going to sit there and watch the Falcons and really just try to nitpick anything I can, try to look at maybe any glaring deficiencies that I can find and take advantage of, especially with the talented team like the Bucks. I don't think it's going to be a problem for them. And the Falcons not having much of a defense, and really only like 2 or 3 guys on offense that are, I guess, real threats. I don't think the Bucks are going to have a problem with this one. So look for the -9.5 coming that day. Plus, of course, the trend or the rest advantage. Really, everything's going in their favor. Next is the 49ers at the Eagles. Now, this one is a little bit different. It's a little bit dicier. The 49ers -3 is what I'm looking for to play at the Eagles. Let's take a look at what Madden said in this one. So Madden actually has the 49ers as about 1.3 point favorites. Now, keep in mind that is because the Eagles are playing at home, which means neutral site. The 49ers would be about 3 to 3.5 point favorites. Now, I do think we're going to have a better idea of both of these teams after week 1, but my presumption right now is that Jalen Hurts, while a lot of Eagles fans and touts and things like that are just talking up the hell out of this guy, he might be good, and I expect him to be better than he was last year. But guys who are running that much, without too many real deep field threats, I just don't see them beating the 49ers. The 49ers defense is going to really be not just efficient, but they're going to just be talented all over the field. I mean, to the point where it's almost unfair. Guys like Bosa and Fred Williams, I think is his last name. The 49ers they have talent all over that field, all over the defensive line, their linebackers. I mean, everything. So if you're trying to run on them, it's going to be a long day. And guys like Devonta Smith and Jalen Reagor, while they're great and they're talented receivers, and I really like both of them for individual props and fantasy and all that kind of stuff, I don't think they have the firepower to hang in there with the 49ers. Even though I don't think Jimmy Garoppolo is some gunslinger, I don't think he's going to need to be. I think guys like Trey Sermon and Mostert are going to have their day. They're going to run all over these guys. And then when you start trying to stop the run, they're going to hit you over the top with Deebo Samuel and Ayuk, assuming he's 100% healthy by then. I really like the 49ers in that spot. And while Madden may disagree, Madden may say we need a few more points here, I think taking the 3 as the key number is fine. The last I checked, that was the number. It was 49ers -3. But hopefully it will decrease a little bit. If the Eagles can win Week 1 against the Falcons, it will help us in this line, and we can hopefully then get the 49ers -2.5, especially if the 49ers do not have a good showing against the Lions, the pitiful bottom of the barrel Lions. You might be able to get the 49ers -2.5, -2, at which point I really like the 49ers because then you can grab that key number. Lastly is the Cowboys and the Chargers. This one, I'll be honest with you, I don't think I'm going to touch it. The Cowboys +1.5 has some value in it, even though it's not too much. Right now, the Cowboys should really be about a +1. So this -0.9 means that they are 1-point dogs in this, and you're getting 1.5. So you're getting about a half a point of value in your direction, but 1 is not really a key. It is not a key number. It either is 2. So you really don't have any key numbers until you get to 3, obviously. If you wanted to touch this game, I would say either Chargers money line or Cowboys getting teased through the 7. That way you're getting the Cowboys plus touchdown. That one, like I said, I really do think I'm staying away from it altogether. Mainly it's because the Cowboys are talented, but I think even after Week 1, we won't have a really good read on them yet, with their line being so torn up with injuries and COVID, with Dak still not necessarily trying to recover from his shoulder injury, but trying to knock off rust from just not playing for so long and trying to get back into game speed, with Zeke trying to get back into his action as well. I know he's been healthy, he's been going through practice and things, but obviously, first game for him in a while, just like everybody else. But he really didn't show out last year. He didn't look all that great last year. So game 1, let's see if he can get his feet under him, even without this line. And Week 2, who knows? Who knows what we see in Week 1 and if that's going to correlate at all to what we see further down the line from them. Cowboys defense, it's as good as it's going to get, but that's not saying very much. I am kind of curious to watch Micah Parsons and see what he can do with that linebacker core. But all in all, I just don't think you're going to have a good read on the Cowboys after Week 1 even, because I fully expect them to get just beat to hell, just curb stomped Week 1, and I don't think that's going to I don't think that should really change your mind too much. I really think you're probably going to have a better idea on the Cowboys after Week 3 or 4, because even this game is going to be a little bit different. Some things that we're looking for as far as trends are concerned in this game. So the Cowboys are the Thursday night team. So I didn't highlight that here, and that's because it does get kind of offset. So they are the Thursday night team. They're going to go play the Chargers Sunday, so they have the rest advantage versus the Chargers. That being said, though, the Cowboys are visitors, or the away team in both of these games. So they're going to travel to Tampa Bay, come back home, travel across to the other side of the country to go play in LA. The travel, while it's usually not a big problem this early in the season, the Cowboys really traveled a lot for preseason. And if you don't remember, they were in the Hall of Fame game. So the Hall of Fame game and then preseason Week 1 and 2 were all away games. And then on top of that, they also worked out and they had their preseason, training camp in Oxnard, California. It was not until preseason week 3 that they finally came to Dallas. Then they were in Dallas for all of 2 weeks here. Then they're going to go to Tampa, come back, fly back to Los Angeles. That's a lot of travel for a lot of guys that have not played or are rookies, and a coach that I don't really have a lot of faith in. I don't see the Cowboys winning that game. Like I said, that's maybe I'm just I'm so close to it that I hate them. that I hate trying to take them and pick their wins. But I'm not touching the Cowboys. So like I said, either tease it or just take the Chargers on the money line, or the Chargers minus the 1 for that week. But those are the lines we're looking for week 2. They will be out. Most of them will actually be out Sunday night, very late, close to midnight, depending on your time zone, of course, or Monday morning. So the Rams and the Bears, obviously the games that they are involved in, because they play Sunday night, those lines won't come out until Monday morning. But again, be on the lookout and try and take advantage of those lines as early as possible to make sure that you get the best numbers. Again, if you are curious and you want to get the Madden algorithm, or you want to get my coaching report card, which is a different algorithm that I use to quantify coaching and play calling and things like that, I'm more than happy to share it with you guys. I'm not trying to keep it private. It is things that I have created. The Madden algorithm I did pull from a book, so I didn't create that, but I am filling in the info for that every week. The other one is purely, something of my creation. But again, I'm not charging it. I'm not charging for it, I should say. I'm not trying to sell you anything. If you want the picks, let me know. Comment below and leave me your either email address or Twitter handle, or some way I can get a hold of you to send you the info. Or you can go to my website, which is where I sell comics and collectibles and stuff. It's chewychurro.com. I'll put the link in the description below, and sign up for the mailing list. I think I only had 2 or 3 guys do this last time, but if you sign up for that mailing list, you don't have to put in the comment every week. I'll just send the basically a newsletter out to everybody on that list, and you'll get the updates in these algorithms every week, so you're not having to come back to the YouTube channel and comment and and subscribe and all that kind of stuff. So hopefully this was all helpful. Again, I apologize for the longer video. Guys, if you can get YouTube Premium, you can put me on, you can close out your windows and just kind of walk around with me, or go run, or whatever you need to do while you're listening to the info. But again, hope that this was helpful for you guys, and hope you have some good luck. Let's go. Let's get into week 1. Let's make some money and look forward to week 2. Thanks again.